Namaskar, everyone. Welcome to the Meeting Point podcast. Today, we have a special guest who has a very interesting background, a hotel management student or individual who worked in hotel management and then moved into the world of fitness and health and changing many people's lives. Uh, so, hi, Aakash. Welcome to the
Thank
podcast.
you, Sarika. Thank you for inviting me, and
Yeah,
it gives me great pleasure every time I come here.
yeah,
Uh, so, it's always been one of the things that I want to do is to help people,
yeah.
and everything I do actually revolves around that
Around.
basic concept. It's just trying to help people
Yeah,
to the best of my capability,
yeah.
and which is why we have started SutraLETICSS, which is
SutraLETICSS.
a is my baby, one of my things that I've been always wanting to do. And about 4 years back, Manish and I, we thought about making an online platform
Yeah.
where instead of reaching smaller people, smaller audiences, we wanted to target bigger audiences,
Yeah.
have access to a more larger crowd. And
Right.
hence we started SutraLETICSS, which is a global platform in health and wellness. And if I may just briefly talk about SutraLETICSS, the
Sure.
concept and what we do, because it's a very unique concept, and most people are not doing it the way we do. It's a very good. I would say it's a symbiotic integration of East and West. So taking the best from the East and the best from the West, combining it together on one single platform,
Yeah.
and providing a service to people to improve their health, their lifestyle, uh, with all these tools from the East and the
Yeah.
West.
Yeah.
So we have a team of experts that we work with, and we work in fields of health, in nutrition, exercise science, um, chiropractic, physiotherapy. So essentially everything and anything to do with health and wellness.
Okay.
One of the new things that we also added is biohacking, which is
Okay.
again more or less an alien concept in India, but getting very, very popular in the West.
Okay.
Biohacking is essentially, biohacking comes, if you talk about hacking in English language, hacking is basically a shortcut. So you have a computer program and you want to
You
hack
hack
it.
into the computer
You hack
program.
into computer program, or if there is any task that we
Yeah.
do in a daily life, if we hack it, we want to make it faster, we want to make it quicker, we want to make it more efficient.
Okay.
So there's anything that you need to do, and there's always people talk about how can we hack that, or how can we make it faster, make it more efficient. So essentially, when you put biohacking together, is basically hacking your life,
Something to
tweaking
do
your
with
life.
longevity?
Yeah. So
Okay.
essentially, hacking your life, your body, physically,
Aha.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so that the goal is to increase your longevity. Maybe
Wow.
live up to 100 years, or even beyond,
Oh,
by just
lovely.
certain simple hacks that you can do. And hence the term comes biohacking, which is very, very interesting, because biohacking takes a lot of different protocols, different concepts from different components. There's a
Okay.
lot of yoga and Ayurveda also in biohacking, a lot of breathing
All right.
techniques. So anything that there's a lot of science. Everything is very, very scientific. There's a lot of research on every component, every protocol that they use in biohacking. So everything has to be validated with science.
Okay.
A lot of breathing techniques, pranayam, breathing techniques from yoga, people use in biohacking. This what I'm wearing are actually blue blockers. So this is one of the things that all biohackers
Yeah.
wear.
Right.
Red light therapy is another thing that
I have to try
also,
that out. You keep talking about
yeah,
it.
that is again very important. All biohackers use red light
Okay.
therapy. So on SutraLETICSS, we have actually introduced biohacking in India. We have certain items that we use for biohacking. This is one of them that we do. Red light therapy panels is another thing that we distribute.
Okay.
So on SutraLETICSS, essentially, if anybody wants to stay connected with whatever's happening around the world with health and fitness, health, lifestyle, fitness, if they want to optimize their health and maybe transform themselves. I don't like to use the word transformation and fat loss and all, because that is very cliched, and it's become very commercial. So
Right.
if basically if anybody just wants to change their life, change their health, they need to they can connect with us, and we will give them the best solution possible.
So this red light therapy that you spoke of, so if one wants to experience that, where can they come? I mean, do you?
So red light therapy comes in two options.
Okay.
One is the actual red light therapy panel, which is a full size panel.
Yeah.
And in fact, people use 2 panels, 3 panels, 4 panels, depending on how many panels you want. We're trying to set up a place where we can perhaps give a demo of the panel to people, and they can come and try it out for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. We're working on that. It's not happened as yet, but hopefully soon. But we have been distributing panels and selling panels to a lot of doctors,
Okay.
a lot of personal clients, a lot of people who want to have it in their house. They use red light therapy. They buy the panels from us. And besides the panel, there is also another option where it's a small pad, a red light pad, which is a much smaller version, and the intensity of light is much lower.
Okay.
So, which is why you need to use it for a longer time.
Okay.
But the price is more economical, and you can keep it in the house. You can take it with you while you're traveling, and that's in fact as one of my travel companions. Wherever I travel, I always carry that with me. It's a very small pad, but of course, because the intensity is less, you will need to use it for a longer time. If you have the full panel, anybody with having a lot of health disorders, or if they want to improve their longevity, biohacking, get into the real sense of biohacking, they should definitely get a full red light panel.
So how does it work? I mean, it works on bringing down the inflammation. Or
so red light therapy is essentially if you know about the spectrum, the light wavelength of the spectrum. Red light is the light that is good for us. In the daytime, we all need red light. In fact, in the daytime, actually, so you have red light and you have blue light.
Okay.
Right? You have both.
Yes.
These glasses that I'm wearing, they're called blue blockers because they filter out the blue light.
Okay.
Now, as during the day, if there is blue light around you, that's perfectly all right. But blue light disturbs your circadian rhythm. So, which means that the body, if your circadian rhythm is working the way it should work, the body understands when it needs to stay awake and when it needs to shut down, when it needs to sleep.
Correct.
But if the circadian rhythm gets messed up, the body gets very, very confused that when is the right time to sleep and when is the right time to stay awake. Now, what happens is when there is a lot of artificial light around you, it could be light in your house, it could be light at airports, it could be light in a store, light in shopping malls. All that is all artificial light.
Yes.
And that is essentially all blue light. Now, if you are exposed to a lot of blue light around bedtime, when it's actually the time for you to get to bed and time to shut down, the body is not going to be able to shut down because the body still thinks that we need to stay awake because there's so much blue light around you.
Right.
What these glasses essentially do is they filter out the blue light and only let the red light pass through.
Okay.
So in a way that so this comes in a pair of 2. These are the yellow lenses. The next one is a red lens. So red lens absolutely filters out the blue light.
Okay.
They're very red, and you should wear them actually an hour or 2 hours before bedtime.
All right.
That really helps for people who are having sleep disorders. It really helps with sleep. So a lot of people who can't sleep at night, this works great for them. This yellow lens light which I'm wearing works great in any environment where you're exposed to artificial light during the daytime, during the evening time. You know, it could be airports, could be malls, could be a store, a shop.
Yeah.
So this is great to filter that out.
Or even a podcast where too many lights are falling on Aakaash.
Yeah.
Right
So
now.
so exactly. So that's all artificial light. So this kind of helps with that. So that's how important red light is.
Right.
Red light also has a lot of benefits. I mean, if you talk about mitochondrial health. So when we talk about health, a lot of people.
Goodness, this is going deep in, and people now will wonder what is mitochondrial health.
Just to give
Please
to give you a very brief. When we talk about health and fitness, we're essentially talking about health and fitness on a cellular level. When we talk about nutrition, when we talk about food, we talk about absorption.
Yeah.
We're talking about at the cellular level. At the physical level, it's okay, but if you see, if you look at the term malnutrition, earlier, I mean, decades back, people would use that term malnutrition for people coming from certain areas of the globe where
Yeah.
there is, you don't get enough food over there. So there is, people don't get enough nutrition.
Yeah.
There's hardly the scarcity of food. There's no rainfall, so there are no crops. So hence, people are they all suffer from malnutrition. Very
Right.
skinny, thin people, hardly any energy. That's the
Yeah.
kind of, when you use the word malnutrition, that's the first image that comes to your mind.
Right.
But come to the current age, that same word applies now also, because now, even though we don't look malnutrition, we don't think we have malnutrition, but when you look at the cellular level, okay, look at the mitochondria, look at the cellular level, how much actual nutrition do we get? Okay, all we're getting is empty calories. We're getting food, okay, but a lot of food is
Lot of
processed
food
food.
is, yeah.
Okay, so how much nutrition are you actually getting from that food? How much nutrition is your body, is your cells, are your cells getting the nutrition? So which is why I say that as cells, on a cellular level, we still suffer from malnutrition, because we are still not getting the nutrition that we need to get.
Right.
So even now, today, with the advancement in technology, we are still suffering from malnutrition because of the wrong food choices that we make.
Okay.
Mitochondria it's an energy powerhouse at a cellular
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
And ATP is the currency. Basically, ATP is the energy currency of mitochondria. So ATP is the energy currency of the body.
Adenosine
Triphosphate.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So people who generally are pretty fit, very healthy, who have very high energy levels, and I'm talking about even people well into the 80s and 90s. Okay, if they're very fit, they lean, very high energy levels. They don't get tired. They can do a lot of work the whole day. They generally have very good mitochondrial health. Generally, okay. Mitochondrial health gets affected with any disease. Okay. So it is very important. Generally, all diseases that we know will affect your mitochondrial health, will affect your mitochondria.
Okay.
Be it cancer, be it diabetes, any disease you see will affect your mitochondria. So people who are suffering from disease, who have low energy, will generally have poor mitochondrial health.
Okay.
So in short, that's how important. So I always say, when I look at health or food, look at it at the cellular level.
Cellular level.
And generally, if you're, without even going so deep into it, generally, if your lifestyle, if you're eating the right kind of food, and if you're exercising enough, a little bit of exercise, that's what the body needs. If everything is in balance, you would probably have good mitochondrial health.
Good mitochondria. So coming to the red light.
So red light boosts mitochondrial health.
All right.
One of the things that it does.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if your mitochondrial health is healthy, it directly will impact your longevity. Okay. One of the things that affects age is your mitochondrial health. Very important. If your mitochondrial health is not in great shape, or it's not the way it should be, it will directly impact your age. You will age faster.
Okay.
Okay. So which is why red light therapy is one of I would say the most important tools when it comes to biohacking, to extend your longevity. Because it boosts your mitochondrial health. That's one of the things that red light does. It is great for injuries, for healing. A lot of athletes will use red light therapy for healing, because athletes are definitely prone, they're exposed to high inflammation levels, because a heavy intense exercise all the time. It helps in rest and recovery. So a lot of athletes, in fact, will have a red light therapy as a part of their training protocol.
So you said there are panels available?
Yeah, so you can have a lot of, you could say, Olympic centers or sports centers, or really big fitness centers will have panels all around. So they probably have 2 panels in the front, 2 at the back, 2 at the side. And what happens is that the athletes will come, stand there for maybe 10 minutes, get red light, their entire body is exposed to red light for those 10 minutes. They move out, then the next one comes in, get the red light for 10 minutes, and they move out. Okay, that's how effective it is. A lot of people may have only one panel at home, in which case then they need to turn around. They expose the front, then they turn around, then they expose the back also. Yeah.
Okay.
But generally in larger centers, you have panels all around you.
Okay.
All biohackers, not all, maybe most biohackers will have red light therapy in their house. They use red light therapy in their house.
And you do it on bare skin, or you can
No, bare skin.
have
In bare skin. In fact, you should be naked.
Okay.
Yeah, minimal clothing.
Okay.
Minimal clothing. In fact, even if you're using the panel that that I was talking about earlier, which we use at home, which I carry with me while I travel, if I am using it for my knee or for my back or for my shoulder or any problem that I have in my body, I will use it on bare skin.
Okay.
Yeah, so it has to be on bare skin.
Wow.
Pad is a very small pad. You can carry it with you anywhere you want, or you can keep it with you. Take it with you in a car, in your bag.
Oh, lovely.
It's excellent for traveling. So red light therapy is also now used in a lot of people, for cosmetics.
Okay.
A lot of beauticians use red light therapy. In fact, they now have a red light therapy mask where you put it. It's only on the face. So the one I was talking about are panels, right? With that, it exposes your entire body is exposed to red light. But now you also have just a mask, a red light therapy mask, where you just put it on your face. So this is primarily targeting your skin, the skin on your face, improving the skin quality of your face. So that's another place where red light therapy also comes in handy. A lot of effects, a lot of anti-aging effects. It's just
and
great overall.
Absolutely
yes,
safe.
It's very safe provided you pick it from the right place, because it is a health related protocol. There are certain restrictions, certain rules, certain licenses that are applicable to this.
Okay.
So you have to be very careful where you buy from, what product you buy, because red light therapy may be available across the globe, but very important to make sure you're getting it from the right people.
And we still don't make it in India. This
is manufactured. The one we on SutraLETICSS, the one that we distribute, is manufactured in India.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it is manufactured in India, but with all the safety standards.
How nice.
With all the safety standards, yeah.
Cool. Good note to start on.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, by the way, best wishes for SutraLETICSS. I hope it gets bigger and bigger and you have a fabulous team.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, coming to the topics that I wanted to speak with you about, one was, can we, just for people to understand, the basic fundamentals of fitness, what are the components of fitness, or what does it entail?
Good question, Sarika, because this is something that absolutely confuses a lot of people. After a lot of research, we now have the components of fitness. This is really important to understand, because once you understand this basic concept, everything else automatically falls into place beautifully.
Okay.
You will not get confused. So when you look at an activity, you look at an exercise, you exactly understand that what this is doing for me, if I need to do it or not, and if I don't need to do it, or if I do need to do it, why. There should always be a why.
Yeah, there should always be a
rather than just, if your friend is running a marathon and your friend tells you, you join me and all. If your friend enjoys running a marathon, enjoys running, doesn't mean you have to do it.
Correct.
If somebody is doing Zumba, doesn't mean that you also have to do Zumba. Even though the benefits are there, but everything is very, very specific, very, very goal oriented, very target oriented. Everything has to have a purpose of why we're doing this. So there are 5 components of fitness.
Okay.
Let me just tell you all 5 of them before we go into and understand what each one of them are. One is muscular strength, which is probably the most misunderstood, most neglected, most ignored. Muscular strength, muscular endurance.
Yeah.
Then you have cardiorespiratory health, which is your stamina. You have mobility and flexibility. And the last one is body composition. Now, generally, if all the other 4 are in balance, the last one, which is body composition, will automatically fall in place, supported with correct nutrition.
Right.
If your nutrition is on track and is the way that it should be, and you're following the others in balance, body composition will not be a problem, because you will anyway have a very healthy body composition, which is great. But just so that we know that these are the components that we need to look at and we need to work at this. I'm not sure if you really want to go into detail of each, just briefly.
Touch base, briefly.
Muscular strength is essentially the importance of building strength in the body. As simple as that, because strength is universal. For me, it is mandatory. It is not an option. As we grow older, we all know that aging takes place, and when aging takes place, everything starts degenerating in the body.
Yeah.
It is bound to happen to everyone, but uh, how it happens, when it happens, to what extent it happens, and how quick it happens is in our hands.
Right.
Okay, so that's where strength comes in. So muscular strength. So building muscular strength is extremely, extremely important. If you want to keep your joints healthy, you want to keep your bones healthy, your muscles strong. Sarcopenia is something that happens with
Oh,
age.
yeah.
Sarcopenia is the loss of muscle as we age. And I always say, whenever I use the word muscular, I like to use it with the nervous system. So whenever we say muscular, I always like to use neuromuscular.
Neuromuscular.
Because they work both together hand in hand.
Right.
The nervous system and the muscular skeletal system, they work together hand in hand. So everything that the muscles do is governed by the nervous system.
Yeah.
The nerves, the recruitment of all the muscle fibers, everything is done by the nerves. So neuromuscular, balance, coordination,
Right.
very, very important as we age. If you see a lot of people who have balance issues, balance problems, people who get old, geriatrics,
Yeah.
balance issues, it's because they don't have the muscle strength. If they start strength training for a couple of months, then they will start to feel much better. The balance will improve. Neuromuscular, you focus on strength, you focus on building muscle, and it will also help in balance.
Right.
So loss of muscle tissue is something that happens if you don't engage in strength training, and it will happen with everyone, each one of us. Nobody can get away with that. The only way to arrest that or to prevent that as much as possible is through strength training
Okay.
and correct nutrition.
So one question here about strength training. When can children start strength training? At what age is good for them to get into strength training?
So so before that, I think another question that if you we should ask is, when we talk about strength training, what is strength training? Which
Yes.
again, most people have
Most
no
people
idea,
are,
have no
yeah,
clue.
I have to think from that angle.
Yeah, because if you're talking at the very basic levels for people to understand, and I'm talking about all kinds of people,
Yeah,
young people,
yeah.
old people, even children. So strength training is essentially adding extra resistance to a movement, adding extra load to a body, to the body. So any movement where there is load, essentially you are strength training, and that load could, so the body does not have eyes to see the load. So that load could be a heavy book, it could be a heavy bag, it could be your own body weight, it could be dumbbells and barbells that you see in a gym. Any load, any resistance to the body is strength training. You're training the body
Simple.
in the movement with extra load.
Yeah.
That becomes strength
That
training.
becomes
Now,
strength
children, if you look at children, anyway, they are, hopefully, they should be engaging a lot of sports. If they're at a very young age, they should be playing a lot, engaging a lot of sports. So that itself is enough activity for them. As long as they are not sitting at home watching Netflix all day. But if they are out playing team sports, just leading an active lifestyle, they're getting enough exercise.
Which is unfortunate today,
Enough,
is
yeah,
not
it's sad.
happening
And
enough.
once they're in their teens, if they join a gym and get into some serious strength training once they're in their teens, that's even great, because the
Okay.
good thing is that because they're in their teens and because they have age on their side, the progress will be much faster. The results
Okay.
that they see will be much quicker versus, say, a 40 or 50-year-old person training in the gym.
Right.
Though even that, a 40 and 50-year-old person, even a 60-year-old person will see results definitely in the gym, but the speed at which the results come
Progress,
will be
yeah.
slow.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for a young teen, it will be much faster.
Okay.
Just like as if he's on steroids, but he's not. He's natural. But the results that he gets is going to be so fast.
Wow.
So
Okay.
essentially, that is what strength training is. So
Strength
everybody
training.
must strength train. It could be any kind of resistance. There are a lot of people who like to train at home. Good enough. Train at home. You can train at home with with heavy bags, heavy books, heavy bottles, anything that you can get your hands on, any load, any resistance can be used as a weight for strength training.
Okay.
Uh,
I guess many people realized at this point during COVID times when they were all locked in. Many gym goers had no access to
yeah.
gym.
In fact, we
Or
all had to buy a lot of weights at home
yeah,
just to make do. A lot of people were using whatever
whatever
apparatus, whatever
was,
equipment was
yeah,
available at
yeah.
home, even gas cylinders,
True,
beds,
true.
carrying anything. So any
Yeah,
load, any
yeah, yeah.
resistance
So,
that was available at home.
so people became aware. Otherwise, many people would think, "Arey, gym nahi hai. Where will I go and do strength training?"
Yeah.
You know.
Even so, calisthenics is
So,
also great. Just using your own body weight as
body
load.
weight. True.
So that is, and everybody must do strength training.
True.
Not only men but women also.
Women also.
Yeah.
Women especially
Especially
need
women,
to.
because a lot of women are kind of obsessed with, not obsessed, but they're very scared about osteoporosis. They all have this fear of weak bones. So, which is why you will see a lot of women just popping in calcium pills. Has been may or may not have been advised by their doctors.
Yeah.
But calcium is okay, it's great. Maybe if you need it, take it. But what is more important is the exercise, the strength training. You need
Strength
load,
training. Yeah.
resistance on the body.
True.
Just like how you need resistance on the muscles to get strong, similarly you need resistance on your bones also to get strong. There's something called axial loading. Axial
Okay.
loading the spine. There are certain movements that loads your body axially, axial loading of the spine, which is really good. Which is what your body needs. A lot of people will say that, oh, you should not do axial loading movements because it compresses your spine, or the load is too much on the spine, and that as you age, you will the risk of injuries will be more. So you should rather do very gentle exercises, very mild exercises. But that's not how the body works.
So, what is axial loading?
So
Do you
axial
want to
loading is
speak on it?
basically loading the spine. So there are
Loading the
very
spine.
few movements
Okay.
actually. When I say axial loading is loading the spine, that means every part of your body is engaged. Simple as that. So the best bang for the buck. So let's say if you have a very short period of time and you want to get a exercise training done, okay, you want to use movements that engages your entire body.
Got it.
Heavy compound movements, multi-joint movements, movements that use more joints, more muscle, excellent bang for the buck, rather than just doing isolation movements where you're just training your bicep or your triceps, or just training your forearms. You only, use full body movements like a squat, a deadlift. Essentially, if you look at axial loading, there are only 3 movements. We call them as axial loading.
Okay.
It's a squat, a deadlift, and an overhead press.
All right. Only 3.
Just three.
Wow.
Which is why these 3 are foundation movements. Everybody must do them. And if you look at them, even if you don't call them as axial loading movements, or even, let's say, even if I don't call them as movements, or even if I don't call them as exercise, these are natural movements of the body.
Your functional movements which you do day to day.
Okay, the innate movements of the body that everyone's body should be able to do. If you look at a child sits very comfortably in a squat position. Okay, at that age, not even just a couple of years, maybe 1 year or 2 years old, as long as when they start walking, you see them squat and they do it so comfortably. In fact, they can sit in a squat for a very long time and be very, very comfortable. They don't know it's a squat. They're not doing it intentionally, but it still is a squat.
And it comes naturally.
And it's a natural movement of the body. So similarly, okay, a deadlift, a squat, they're natural movements. The deadlift is essentially a hip flexion movement. You're bending forward to pick something up.
Yeah.
In your day-to-day activity, day-to-day life, you always pick something up from the ground. You're always picking something up.
True.
It's a natural movement of the body. Overhead press, you always lifting something if you want to, in your day-to-day life. So these are natural movements. They are not created.
True.
So what are we doing? We are just taking the natural movements and using them under load and training the body in those movements. Of course, there are loads of other movements, there are loads of other exercises. I mean, hundreds of exercises you can do.
But these are fundamental.
But fundamental movements, the squat, the deadlift, overhead press. This is a good way to even talk about programming. People are very confused that when there are like hundreds and hundreds of exercises, they don't know which ones to pick, which ones to choose.
Right.
So I always say, look at the basic movements, the movements that give you best bang for the buck, compound movements, not isolation movements. You don't want to keep on doing a lot of women, even actually a lot of men, they think about core training, abs. So they will have 1 hour ab classes. They will just do 1 hour core training, 1 hour core training, which is okay, great. But do you really need to do it? But what happens to the other movements? You ignore those movements. I see women in the gym. They come and they will do half an hour, 1 hour core training, different kinds of movements for their abs, but they will not squat, they will not deadlift, they will not do any of the foundation movements. Okay, and they think they are making their core stronger. Okay, but they are neglecting these other movements. Remember, the body. Another thing is, it's very natural the way the body works. Okay, the body is one cohesive unit.
Right.
What does that mean? That means everything works cohesively.
Together.
Everything is integrated. You don't isolate. Today, your bicep cannot tell your tricep, oh, you know what? I don't want to work today. It's my day off.
You take over.
You take over. Or or the chest cannot tell your quadricep muscle that, sorry, I'm taking a nap. You go and do. It doesn't work like that. Everything works together.
Imagine if that starts happening with the
body. But the thing is, people think that's what is possible. So then if you go to a lot of gyms, you will see a lot of people working only in isolation. Only isolation movements. Now a lot of people get very confused and then they get bodybuilding. Now bodybuilding is the sport. Okay, the training, everything, the whole protocol around it is very, very different. Bodybuilding is all about aesthetics. It's all about balance. It's all about symmetry. The training may need a lot of isolation because every muscle that is there on the human anatomy needs to be in perfect symmetry, perfect balance with other muscles.
Right.
So which is why they may or may not use a lot of isolation movements. But that is bodybuilding, that is a sport if you are into that sport. But if you're not into that sport, if you're only looking at longevity, you only want to look at strength training, you don't need to spend so much time on isolation movements. Instead, get the best bang for the buck, work on strength, build strength in the body, make sure your bones get strong, and that's only going to come from these axial movements, from these large movements.
Right. So whenever someone is going to a gym to do strength training, can they do these every time they go? Or should they
programming and scheduling is a separate science by itself, it's a separate topic by itself. Depending on what each one's fitness level is, there are certain training programs that we recommend that they can use. No matter what training program they use, it is always a good idea to have 1 day of rest between 2 days of exercise.
Okay.
Just so that you're facilitating rest and recovery.
Correct.
So that the CNS doesn't get too fatigued, so that you have enough energy left for the next session.
CNS, you mean central nervous
system? Nervous system. Central nervous system controls everything.
Yeah.
And people who have not exercised for a very long time, and suddenly they start exercising, which by all means is a good thing, and by all means we want everybody to start exercising, but they need to go slow. Because the CNS is not primed for so much of volume, so much of intensity.
Yeah.
Just to give you an example, if somebody starts on day 1 with lifting 5 kilos, okay, and then from 5 kilos he progresses to 7 to 10, 10 to 12. That's how you progress. That's the right way to do it, because then your body adapts to that extra load, your CNS adapts to that load. But if somebody starts from 5 kilos and from 5 jumps to 50, okay, not only is your body, your muscles, your joints is not ready for that kind of load, but your CNS is also not primed for that kind of activity. Everything is CNS. In fact, many times when you have a really hard workout, perhaps you train harder than what you should be training, and you end up, exercise should always make you feel good. Generally should give you a sense of, not exhaustion, but if you feel exhausted, if you feel dizzy, if you feel that you can't even walk, you need to sit down, and you're really feeling drained after exercise, okay, you definitely train too hard, but your CNS has taken a hit. The central nervous system has taken a hit.
So it's gone into fight or flight mode, or
yeah. That is inflammation. I mean, all exercise will cause inflammation, which is how the body works. It's a good thing, but we don't want inflammation levels to stay up. They always come down with rest and recovery. But if your CNS is constantly in that fight or flight mode or in that overtraining mode. In your CNS, there's something called CNS fatigue, where you are training too much. You're in overtraining state all the time. You're not getting enough rest and recovery, which is why it is very, very important to have breaks, have rest days in your workout. You don't even need to train every day. Every day is an extreme, but even just training 3 times a week, 2 or even 2 times a week for people who don't have time, 2 or 3 times a week, intense workout, exactly the way you should be working out, twice a week is more than enough for strength training. And of course, other days you should be doing other activities
Yoga,
just to get the
running.
movement going, walking. It could be any cardio. Have a balance of everything. So when we talk about components of training,
fitness,
components of fitness or components of exercise, you want to make sure that you pick one activity for each. So you should have one activity for strength, one activity for cardio, your cardiorespiratory, one activity for your flexibility and mobility. People sometimes they think that there are activities that can do justice to all three. So just like if you look at food, and if you look at their macronutrient in a food, now every food item has a little bit of protein, fats, and carbs, all three components.
Right.
When we say a certain food item has a specific macronutrient of fat or protein, is because the majority percentage of that nutrient is present in that food. So if it's eggs, we say more protein, but eggs also has all three, but more protein and fat. So percentage wise, it's got protein. So similarly, all food items will have all three, but the percentage differs.
Okay.
Right. Similarly, when you look at sports activity, generally every activity will have a bit of all three. Will have a bit of. I mean, it will help you with your muscular strength. It will help you with your muscular endurance. It will help you with your mobility and flexibility also. It will help you a little bit with your cardiorespiratory fitness also. All, but you need to pick. This is where your common sense, I would say, common sense or your knowledge comes in, or your experience or your skill comes in. Picking the right activity level for the right purpose. So if your focus is on muscular strength, and if you want to build only on muscular strength, and I always believe in, when you focus on one thing, only focus on that. Don't mix. Don't make it a cocktail of everything, which is what a lot of people do.
Right.
If you're looking at muscular strength, pick the best activity for that specific goal. So if it's muscular strength, it is got to be strength training. Because nothing can beat strength training when you want to build strength. As simple as that. Similarly, if you're looking at cardiorespiratory endurance, which is your stamina, your endurance, then definitely any cardio activity will work better. It could be running, it could be swimming, it could be dancing, it could be Zumba. Great cardio activities.
Right.
Okay, great. But they're not going to do much to build strength, because now we're only looking at cardiorespiratory endurance. We're not looking at strength building.
Yeah.
Similarly, if you're looking at flexibility and mobility, only flexibility and mobility, you can't beat yoga with that. Though the purpose of yoga is not flexibility and mobility, I mean, that's a whole topic by itself. As we all know, yoga is actually a spiritual practice. It's not even a physical practice.
True.
And we should not be practicing yoga for physical benefits, for fat loss and all that. But all these are the side effects of yoga. So if you have a balance of all this, you pick one activity for each component. Okay, you're getting a balance of everything.
This is wonderful how you've broken it down.
And the problem comes, people get injured, they have injuries over long term, when you're talking about a really long term period, especially when you're talking about the senior citizen in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, when they get injuries. And then you look back why, and then you apply this principle, and you analyze at the activity level, or whatever activity that person has been doing the last 15, 20 years. And then you think, has this person touched on all these 3 or 4 components? And most often you will see that strength is something that everyone neglects.
Okay.
Muscular strength is something that nobody does. People will be walking a lot, they'll be swimming a lot, they'll be playing sports, but you're getting a lot of benefits from that. Great, but are you getting muscular strength? Okay, So people are very, very confused. They think that, and also I agree that in today's day and age, people don't have time. They perhaps may not uh, have access to be able to uh, dedicate time to a specific activity. That means do strength training also, and yoga also, and maybe some kind of a cardio activity also. So it becomes too much for them. But end of the day, the body works on balance. If you want looking at long, and another thing, even on SutraLETICSS, and I personally believe, I don't look at anything short term. I always believe everything should be long term. If
Long
you're looking
term.
at a diet that helps you at the cellular level, at your if you're looking at mitochondrial health, look at it, what, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. You want to follow a diet, can you do this for the next 15 years?
True.
Because only if you do it for 15 years, only then will you get the benefits. Your body will improve, health will improve long term.
Right.
Don't do anything for 6 months or 1 year or 3 months or 2 months. What happens when you stop?
Yeah.
Well, that's what everybody, this 21-day fitness programs, 21 days fat loss programs, transformation challenges and all that. It's all great while it's going on, but what happens when it ends?
Or they are good to initiate people into
But always look at long term, because it's only long term that people are going to sustain, especially diets. Diet protocols. There's so many diet protocols, so many wonderful diet protocols nowadays, and I am not negative about any, because all of them have certain benefits, and each one works for each person differently. Some diets, some protocols may work fantastically for great for some people. For some people, it may not. But in general, all the protocols that we have now with food, nutrition, is all towards improving your health. And if there's one thing that's common amongst all protocols, though probably each one of them, they probably want to get each other by the throat, because you have one diet protocol on one side and one diet protocol on the other side. And intentionally, I'm not taking any names because
Please don't.
I don't want to start a war over here. But for people who understand, they literally want to get at each other's throat and kill each other just because they believe in a certain protocol. They believe that this is the way they are made to eat, and they're made to live, and this is exactly how everybody should be eating, and if they don't, then they will die, and everything else is toxic and all that stuff. Everyone's right in their own way. But the good thing with all protocols is there is no processed food. So no matter which protocol you follow, processed food is eliminated. That itself, that one small thing does wonders for the body, wonders. So it doesn't matter which one you want to follow. Whichever one you want to follow, whichever one you believe in, whichever one works for you, you feel really great following that diet protocol. You are not exposing your body to any junk and processed food. That itself will take care of so many health issues.
True.
So many health issues.
So coming to, a couple of examples that you gave in between. So, I know a bunch of women who do only Zumba, and they treat it as an exercise. Okay, and they think, अच्छा हफ्ते में 4 दिन 5 दिन हम लोग डांस कर रहे हैं, जुम्बा कर रहे हैं, we are good. But unfortunately, they are not, targeting the other key components that you mentioned.
True, absolutely.
Right? So eventually, as they age, they might be doing Zumba, they are able to do it with good strength, etc. With whatever abilities they have in their body. But as they age, as they progress, they will see some or the other issue cropping up.
Absolutely, right? and that is not only with people who do Zumba. It's
just
kind
an
of
example.
But it does happen with Zumba also. It does happen with a lot of people who are very specific to any one protocol. I also see this in a lot of people who run. Running is great. It's a great exercise for the body. But if you understand back end and front end, I always like to give this example because IT people who are into IT will understand this very well, and a lot of people are into IT these days. So you have back end support. So your front end and back end, right? Now the front end is dependent on your back end. If your back end is not there, if your back end is not working the way it should work, the front end is not going to work the way it should work.
Right.
Okay. What is back end? So if back end is your strength training, your foundation, your body needs to be strong. Your body needs to be resilient to work, to perform the way it should. See the also if you look at a laptop, I also like to give an example of a let's say a file. On a laptop, on any computer, you have different formats, think everybody would understand a bit of this because everybody's into basic
Yeah,
tech.
yeah.
Everyone uses phones and laptops and computers.
True.
So you have different file formats, right? You've got so many. If you're looking at graphic file formats, you have JPG, you have PNG, you have TIFF, you have so many others. You have, if you're looking at doc files, you have Word documents, you have PDF. So if you're looking at audio, then you have video. So many different formats. Every file has a different format. Okay, now when you buy a laptop or when you buy a computer, and one of your things that you buy it for, one of the things, your goal is to make your life easier. You want one device that is able to access and open every file.
Right.
Okay, now you're not going to buy five laptops. I'm going to buy one laptop only to open my audio file, one laptop only for my video, and one laptop only for my Word documents. That doesn't work. Okay, you buy a laptop, it's an expensive piece of device, so that it opens every possible file created.
True.
You have access to every possible file created. So you have to, it has to make life easier, right? You put in any document, it should open. What file, what format is not your problem. The laptop should be able to open that, right? That's exactly how your body should work. Your body cannot be programmed or predetermined or planned to for movement, for exercise, for activity. You cannot program your body for tomorrow's schedule. Say, oh, tomorrow I am going to pick up my bags twice a day. I am going to go jump over the fence once a day. I am going to catch the bus only 3 times a day tomorrow, because 3 times I have to go out and that distance will only be 20 meters. So I have to prepare my body for all these activities only for tomorrow. Then day after, my activities will change. So then day after, I will have to prepare my body differently for different activities.
Oh my God. I'm visualizing this whole scenario.
Yeah, imagine, right? You can't, because your bodies are like a laptop.
Yeah.
Anything you throw at your body should be able to
do.
Today, you want to catch a bus.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, you want to put your bike on parking. Okay, you need strength to do that.
True.
You want to lift bags, heavy bags from groceries. If you're traveling, you want to lift bags from the airport, from the conveyor belt. If you have grandchildren or if you have children, you want to play with them after you come back from work. All these are daily activities that most people engage in. And you don't plan for this.
True.
You don't plan for this. Today, if you're, by chance, your cylinder, there's no gas, you need a gas cylinder, you have to pick up your cylinder and take it out from the kitchen. You have to lift it. You not plan it, but you got to do it. So life is all about uncertainties. It's unpredictable, which is why I say the body needs to be resilient.
True.
It needs to perform. You cannot say, like, even in yoga, okay, if you took out, give an analysis of yoga, give a yoga perspective. Imagine saying something, oh, I can only do forward bend, but I cannot do back bend. So I will only bend forward in class, but don't ask me to back bend because my body does not know how to bend backwards. I cannot do a lateral flexion, which is your side bending.
Yeah.
Because I have not trained my body to do side bending, but I can do back bend and forward bend. Doesn't work. Your spine needs to be able to move in all directions. All directions. In fact, so again, maybe it's a little off the topic, but there are some teachers which perhaps might focus on a certain component in your yoga class also. So if you look at forward bending, backward bending, we're looking at flexion and extension, lateral flexion, which is side bending, and rotation. The spine should be able to move in all directions, which is what we say, that spine should be healthy as we age, and you are as healthy as your spine is. How does that happen? Is when your spine is able to move pain-free, comfortably in all directions. But we don't plan this, right? True. Your spine should be able to move in all directions at any given point of time. Today, tomorrow, day after, at any given point of time. Similarly, your body needs to be able to move any which way at any given point of time. Now, how do we make that happen? Which is why this components of fitness comes in.
Right.
If you make sure that you are looking at every component separately and you work on those components, you will ensure that your body is resilient. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe down the line. If you set the goal there, once you get there, your body will be in a much healthier, much more fitter space.
Absolutely.
Imagine you, right now I see so many people, intentionally they are not handicapped, but their life becomes handicapped because somebody has a back problem. Then they cannot bend forward. So imagine you're walking and you want to lift something up from the ground, but then I'm not supposed to do this because I have a back problem, so I can't. Then they'll ask, oh, can you please lift that up? So you have to keep all these things in mind. You're walking somewhere, you're sitting in a class, and if you have knee problem, then you suddenly realize, oh, I cannot bend my knee because I have a knee injury going on, so I should not be doing this. It
True.
becomes very difficult to remember all this on a daily basis.
True.
So even if you have an injury, fine, you deal with it, heal with it, and get back to your normal training.
Have to move.
So which is why it's very important for the body to become, you should be able to do everything, and only if you follow this in balance, all these components, giving enough time to each component, will you be able to get there, make your body resilient for any activity you throw at it, it should be able to do.
Right.
So that's the goal of exercise.
So coming back to strength training, okay. Yeah, so women typically tend to have reservations about lifting weights, okay. They think they'll get muscular and all of that, yeah. Now, to how much can we keep lifting? So today I'm able to lift 70 kilos of in deadlift.
Yeah.
How much more should I push my body?
You know what? Even 70 kilos is on the higher side. I'd be more than
Oh.
happy to see women even get to 70. Yeah. So you've done it,
Yeah.
and kudos to you. Hats off to you for doing it. And I want to tell all the women, okay, here's your example. Here's a yoga teacher who can deadlift 70 kilos.
Yeah.
So please, please follow her, listen to
my
her,
God.
and this is exactly where you want to be. Because honestly, there are people who go to the gym years after years. I mean, they've been training for years and years and years, and they don't lift anything more than 5 or 10 kilos. That's it. Most women.
Now
do that.
for me 5 kilos
Yeah, it's
is
like not even a warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So if you can do it, I'm sure. If you can do it, I'm sure everybody else can do it. And the best part is, age does not matter. Even if you're 60, you can still lift 70 kilos. The only thing is, you start slow, start light, and progress.
Progressive, yeah.
The rate at which you progress may differ depending on your age, but progress, it definitely will, definitely can. You definitely can progress. Okay, so I want to tell all women, there is this something called as a progressive overload principle, which applies in all activity. Applies in walking, in running, in anything that you do, you need to progress. Today, if you're holding a yoga asana for 5 breaths, you want to try to make it to 8 breaths. If you can hold it for 8, you want to try to hold it for 10 breaths. Absolutely. So you want to go deeper into the posture, you want to go deeper into the pose. Only then will you get all the wonderful benefits of what yoga is all about.
Correct.
Similarly, you could be walking 20 minutes today. You want to make that 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. So you have to progress. Now imagine if you're walking 20 minutes today, and for next 6 months, you only walk 20 minutes. The progress is zero.
Right.
The body adapts. Your body has adapted to 20 minutes. Then that 20 minutes of walking does not become exercise. It becomes an activity. People are very, very confused between exercise and activity. They go walking for 1 hour every day, and they think that's an exercise. But they don't understand that at 1 hour walk, they've been doing it for 6 years, 5 years. It is no more an exercise for that body. It is an activity.
And that should happen naturally anyway.
Exactly.
So you're not doing anything different.
So I always say that strength training is something that everybody neglects because we don't get enough of it. We have to make an effort, sincere effort to engage in strength training. Walking is something we anyway get on a daily basis. I mean, if you're active, if you're on the move, if you're on the run, you will anyway get your steps in.
Right.
Unless you are literally sitting at home all day and watching OTT and really not getting any movement, which was the case during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Then you have to make a conscious effort to engage in activity. So, but most of us get enough steps, get enough movement. So you don't really have to make an effort to walk. But you need to make an effort to lift weights. You need to make an effort to go to a gym. You need to make an effort to get into strength training. That's more important.
So to what, when should I stop myself?
Why? So just like we don't stop eating food, we don't stop drinking water, we don't stop exercise.
And we don't stop at how much?
We don't stop.
As long as the body
don't stop. As long as you're okay with, if you're comfortable lifting 70 kilos, maybe you might progress to 75, 80. Don't push yourself too hard, but at the same time, make sure your goal should be able to progress. There are many ways of progression. It's not only the weight. It could be the volume, could be the intensity, could be the speed at which you execute the movement. That also
Yes.
makes a difference in
Correct.
intensity. Lot
Correct.
of factors are there. So as
Yeah,
long as
yeah.
you're progressing in one way or the other, it's great. And there is a point where no matter what you do, the body still may not want to progress at that time. You need to play around, maybe give it a little bit more rest, more recovery, look at your food, correct your nutrition, come back to it, but you never stop. You never say, oh, 1 month I think I'm going to just stop training, or 6 months I'm going to stop training. I had enough of this. I've reached 70 kilos in my deadlift and I think I'm done with strength training. No, you don't do
No.
that.
You're going
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to
yeah. You
where you
don't,
started
because
from.
if you stop, you're going to go back. So
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
keep at it. Another benefit of strength training is probably, I would like to say it definitely is, but just for people to, so that they may not believe it if I say it. So I'm saying using the word probably, but internally I'm saying definitely. Strength training is the fastest way to sculpt your body.
Oh,
The
is
fastest
that
way.
so?
There is no single activity that can change the way you look so fast and so quick and so efficient as strength training.
All right.
So, keeping that in mind, you would wonder, since everything is so aesthetic nowadays, everyone is so obsessed with their looks and the way they look and everything, what they should be, everybody should be strength training, especially women, right? Women are obsessed with their looks. So many women, they
Yeah.
fat loss is something that everybody wants to
Yeah.
lose fat, lose weight.
True.
They call tone. They love
Yeah.
the word tone up their arms, tone up this. And the only way to do this is strength training. It's literally body sculpting. It sculpts your body the way it should be, the way it should look. The muscles
Right.
are very nicely sculpted, very nicely defined.
So it brings me to this question, very curious, is, we find many women doing yoga
Yeah.
or maybe Pilates and men doing strength training. Whereas I think we should have a reverse of it as well, right? Men doing more of yoga and women also getting into strength training.
A very good question. But thanks. Before that, I just want to, since we are talking so much about this, I think it becomes also a little important to talk about. There are a lot of people in the gym.
Yeah.
So I always say that coming to the gym is 50% of the job done.
Right.
Great. I mean, hats off to you, kudos to you, and I'm really happy if you can get yourself to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. But here comes the problem again. So it's hard enough getting people to the gym, great, but it's also hard to making them do the right thing.
And consistency also, I guess.
Yeah, as in training. Uh, just to give you a background, so I am a big sucker for exercise science. In fact, even when I was studying hotel management, I always had the best collection of health and fitness magazines in my college. And if anybody remembers, if anybody is watching this from my college, from Manipal, hi to everyone. But if anybody remembers this in my batch or in my college, they will probably know that I was absolutely obsessed with my gym.
Oh, really?
And no matter come what may, because we were studying Manipal. Manipal is a very hot and humid place, like Singapore, and yeah, so and extremely hot and humid place. And we had this gym in Manipal, which was a common gym for all the colleges. There was no ACs at that time in the gyms. It was a very hot, humid, sweaty, stinky gym. And I kid you not, today most of
Very
the
high
people
tech.
would not even enter such a gym, let alone train in it.
Okay.
But some of us, we were that was home for us. So come what may, come exams or any college function, anything going on in college, I would always be at the gym, come
Yeah.
what may, be it any exam, anything. I mean, even if finals were going on, I would still make it a point to be at the gym. And I also had the largest collection of magazines, Muscle and Fitness, Flex, all these were the magazines that time and not available in India very easily. So I would ask my relatives, anybody coming from India, to get them from me from there. Not to see the pictures, as most people normally look at magazines, but to study the information in that.
Wow.
To study the science. And every magazine would have something about exercise science, something about nutrition, something about supplementation. So right from there, right from a very early age, I was obsessed with the science part of exercise. Whether right, wrong, that I'm not saying that is a different thing. What they were printing, publishing, was that right or wrong, that different. But just basically, I was so obsessed with studying that knowledge,
Understanding how
understanding
it
it,
works.
and I would read it from cover to cover. I mean, every single page, everything written on it, I would literally absorb that. That was in addition to my college studies that was going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my foundation. So coming from that, I am absolutely obsessed with exercise science. So today, if somebody tells me that there is a better way of doing a certain exercise, or there is a better program that you can do, or better split that you can do to make the exercise more efficient, or just make it more better, tweak it a bit, hack it a bit, something that is better for your body, better for your muscles, where you can get stronger, anything. So I am the first one to study that, go deeper into it and understand why that is happening and what that is happening. Why is it happening? So when it comes to people training in the gym, even women training in the gym, once let's say they are coming to the gym, half the job is done. The next challenge is what they do in the gym, because just like there are thousands of options in a yoga class that you can do, the way you can structure a class, the way you can sequence a class, so many postures, permutation, combination, mix and match. Similarly, in a gym, there are a lot of exercises that you can do. It becomes very important to understand the science of it, to be able to filter the exercises that you need to do versus the exercises that are not very efficient,
Efficient or beneficial for your body.
that doesn't really
Yeah.
give you the best bang for the buck. I always call it the efficacy. If you look at the efficacy of the exercise, if there are 10 exercises in front of you, okay, all may work for you, all may do what they're supposed to be doing, but what is the most efficient? If one exercise, the efficacy is 100%, and the other exercise's efficacy is 50%, why would you even look at the exercise that is giving 50%?
Right.
But there are people in the gym today, they not only look at exercises that are 50%, they look at exercises that are even 10 and 20%, and will spend 1 hour of their time training those exercises, working with those 10 and 20% exercises versus the 100% exercise that give you that 100%, the best bang for the buck. So it's not about doing too many things for the body, it's doing less, okay, but doing it 100%, doing the exercises that are more efficient for the body, that are more optimal for the body, and doing them right.
So then, sorry. So
Yeah,
then,
sure.
this will bring us to the next thing: is how do we then
Yeah, so I
identify
always
and
say,
get a good
so just like we say in yoga, right?
Yeah.
Let's if you take a foundation posture as a down dog, okay, a down dog is a foundation posture. Even in yoga, there are hundreds, thousands of postures that you can do, fancy postures and all, but we will never stop doing something as basic as a down dog. So whether
Right.
you're a new practitioner, whether you're a teacher, whether you've been practicing yoga for 20 years or 50 years, you will still do the down dog. In fact, you get better at it.
Yeah,
right?
and you enjoy it every time
Exactly.
you do it.
The benefits that you get from it, you go deeper into the posture. With years of practice, you understand that you go deeper into it.
Yeah.
But you don't stop doing it. Similarly, even in strength training, there are certain, I call them primal movements, basic movements, foundation movements, axle loading movements, innate movements that the body is made to, should be able to perform. The squat, the deadlift, you must do those movements. Once you're done with the basic movements, then if you have the time, if you want to do more, if just for the fun of it, you want to do more exercises, do it. But don't negotiate, don't compromise on the main foundation movements. So always, even when this is specifically even for women and even for men, okay, if you're looking at exercise programming, you should have one squat movement. Now, even when you look at the squat, there are many kinds of a squat. You have a sumo squat, you have a classic squat, you have an overhead squat, different variations of a squat.
Yeah.
One squat movement should be there, one hip flexion movement should be there, one deadlift. But there's a classic deadlift, it's a sumo deadlift, it's a Romanian deadlift, it's an RDL. One hip flexion movement where you're lifting something from the ground, one deadlift movement. Then we're coming to our pushing movements. One vertical pushing, one horizontal pushing, which means one bench press movement where you're pushing the weight up, and that's horizontal, and vertical where you're pushing the weight on top. One overhead press.
Overhead.
Done. Next, pulling movements. Two pulling movements, vertical and horizontal. Okay, horizontal pulling movements is your row movements. So you bend over, any rowing movement, and the
Yeah.
other one is any pull down, lat pull down or chin ups or
Right.
pull ups.
Right.
Okay, any pull down movement, vertical. What are you left with? that covers your all your basic movements of the body, and maybe add a farmer's walk. You're doing carries, okay, loaded carries. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, a lot of
Yeah.
variations in that, but add loaded carries. So that honestly, if you just look at these few movements, few exercises, covers the entire body. So this is a great way to start. You
Okay.
do this 3 times a week for a beginner, even twice a week for a beginner, 2 to 3 sets of each exercise, and you're sorted. You ensure that every body part is taken care of. Your body is trained in balance. So there is a lot of, you probably have heard the term imbalance, muscle imbalance. Even in
Yes.
yoga, we have imbalance.
Yeah.
When somebody focuses too much on a specific movement and somebody does too much forward bends, the forward bends look amazing, hamstring flexibility improves, but you need to also spend that much time doing back bends, right? Body works in balance. So if
True.
somebody is only doing forward bends and is neglecting the back bends,
Back
then there
bends.
is an imbalance. Similarly, even in strength training, when you're talking about muscle hypertrophy, you're talking about strength, you want to have certain ratio, certain balance between your pushing movements, your pulling movements, your squats. Squats is such an important movement, not only for your lower body, but for your entire body. A lot of people think that a squat or even a deadlift, okay, they talk about exercise, but let's not talk, they talk about muscles, specific muscles. Which muscle groups does a squat work? Okay, let's talk about movement. It engages your entire body instead of talking of specific muscles. So these are just basic movements that cover your entire body. That is a great way to start. Okay, so
Got
this
it.
is your foundation. Just like, again, going back to, I always say, foundation supplements, foundation supplementation should always be D3, magnesium, and omega-3 fish oils. Okay, similarly, these are your foundation supplements. In addition to this, take whatever you need to take based on your blood reports, based on your health and fitness goals, but these are non-negotiable. Similarly, these movements are prime movements of the body. They are non-negotiable. Some way or
Wow.
the other, you have to make sure that you do these movements, because these are the movements that's going to take your body ahead to longevity.
Longevity.
These are the movements that is going to ensure that you don't have balance issues as you grow older, that you're able to do everything that your body is designed to do, that your body is designed to work. Okay, we have an amazing body, but are we able to perform the way it is designed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Half of the time we are so handicapped that we can't do this because a physiotherapist has told us don't do this, a doctor has told us don't do this, we have back pain, we're not supposed to get up, we're supposed to take a lot of rest, we are supposed to restrict movement. uh, all that kind of not only physically makes you handicapped, but even mentally kind of puts you down,
Mentally puts you
that I
down.
can't do this, my friends can do this, I can't do this.
So, uh,
So I also always say, even for women especially, who think that they only need to lift 5 kilos or 10 kilos or 1 kilo and lift that weight for the rest of their lives, let me please tell them, there is
please.
something called as
Yeah.
progress overload. Okay, and doesn't apply only to guys. Exercise does not discriminate with sex and age,
Gender.
with gender and
Yeah.
age. Absolutely. So irrespective of your age, irrespective of your gender, everybody needs to train the same way.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference if you're a man or woman. And again, lot of people think that if you're a woman, there are separate exercise programs for women, separate exercise programs for men, just like there are separate exercise programs for fat loss, separate exercise programs for muscle gain. Doesn't work like that.
True.
Okay, you want to stick to the basics. Everybody needs to progress, everybody needs to lift, do more and more, increase the resistance, increase the load. That's how your body adapts. So you have to force the body to get stronger. See, the body is
Right.
very complacent. Okay, it loves being complacent, it loves being lazy, it loves not doing anything, it loves chilling for 6 hours and just watching Netflix. Body loves doing all that, but you need to kick the body and get it into the gym.
Get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to force the body to get stronger, force the
True.
body to grow, force the body to move.
And be consistent with it.
Very less is always good. So I
Yeah.
always say, the people who come, a lot of clients I train, they say, oh, you know what, let's train 6 times a week. Let's train 5 times a week, let's train. So I said that even if you train twice a week, but do it for the rest of your life versus training 6 times a week now only for 6 months, that twice a week rest of your life will work much better.
True.
Because you're more consistent. You'll be able to train irrespective if you're traveling, wherever you're going. At least try to hit the gym twice a week. That's more
Okay.
important.
How does one identify a good trainer, a good coach, or been asking this to the doctors also who've come in for our podcast as to, how do they really identify a good trainer? Many people end up injuring themselves and they
Absolutely.
stop going.
Absolutely.
So,
So let's talk about exercise in general. It could be any coach, any fitness trainer. The discipline could be generic. It could be any discipline. Could be strength training, which is gym. Could be a yoga. Could be Pilates. Could be, let's say, any coach, any fitness
Okay.
trainer, any coach. The foundation is the human body. Your physiology and human anatomy needs to be there. That's the foundation. You need to have a very, very strong grounding of human anatomy, human physiology, and
Correct.
exercise science. That is your foundation. Like this, that's your back office. Your front office could be anything. The principles that you learn in your back office, in your foundation, you can apply them in any discipline you want to, you wish to. Exercise science is universal. There is no such thing as yoga anatomy or gym anatomy or Pilates
Or
anatomy
different.
or
They are the
football
same.
anatomy or
Yeah.
badminton anatomy. No, anatomy is anatomy, it's human anatomy.
Right.
If this is your elbow, if this is elbow flexion, okay, there are 3 muscles that engage in elbow flexion. Now, whether you use elbow flexion in a gym, whether you use elbow flexion in Pilates or in a yoga class, you are still engaging the same muscles.
muscle group. Correct.
Okay, that is not going to change. So that's one thing that a lot of teachers think, that if they study yoga, they only need to look at yoga anatomy. They only need to look at yoga physiology.
You've come across like that?
So many specifically, which is why I feel they are very, very close-minded. So they only look at anything that is very yoga specific. But the health, the body does not discriminate. Everything is universal. Exercise is exercise. When you sweat, when you build muscle, the way your heart works, the way your lungs work, where you exercise, is the same for all, whichever activity you do. Physically, okay, of course, yoga has its own benefits. If you're talking about the spiritual path, and we're talking about chakras and this pranas and all, keeping that aside, but just looking at the physical level, the way the human body functions, the way the joints function, the way the muscles function is the same.
Right.
So there is no reason to differentiate between yoga anatomy and human anatomy. And so for any trainer, whichever discipline the trainer wants to specialize in, first step is to understand have a very good foundation of human anatomy, human physiology. You need to understand the muscles, how they work. You need to understand the joint movements, how they work, how they impact the muscles, which muscles are working, which muscles are not working, the balance between the muscles. All that is very, very important. In fact, many years back, I think one yoga teacher even came and asked me that, why is it important to know anatomy for a yoga teacher? So I was quite surprised, and more than surprised, shocked, that being a yoga teacher, one of the things that you must know is anatomy. In fact, most yoga teachers don't know anatomy, because not their fault, because most of the TTC programs that they don't really cover anatomy in detail the way they should. Anatomy could be just maybe 2-3 lectures and you're done on anatomy. But you need to go detail, because look at it today, what's happening today. If you look at an activity as yoga, a practice such as yoga, unfortunately, most people who turn to yoga are the ones who are already suffering from problems. Very rarely will you come across people who come to yoga without any issues. They either have a back problem, some musculoskeletal problem, or some medical problem, and hence they have been advised by someone to start yoga.
I was coming to that. Many times doctors are the ones who tell you, and that's when people start doing yoga.
Absolutely. Now, if these are the people who are coming to a yoga teacher, to your class, with medical issues, with back problems, shoulder problems, sciatica issues, disc herniation issues, and as a yoga teacher, you are not skilled or qualified to, let alone help these people, but to even understand what language they're talking about. If you're a yoga teacher and somebody comes and talks to you about sciatica or disc herniation or scoliosis, all these things, and will talk to you about some muscles and everything, generally a new yoga teacher would probably be lost and like what the hell is this is going on.
True.
Most teachers.
True.
But unfortunately, this is what's happening. And then with these medical problems, these yoga teachers who know nothing about anatomy and biomechanics try to help these people. So imagine the risk of injury
Oh my
that can
God.
happen, which is why a lot of people say, oh, we've actually hurt our back even more after yoga class, and we feel worse after yoga class, and our shoulder has become worse after a certain class. So don't blame the system, don't blame the science. It's the teacher, and it's actually a teacher's responsibility. If the teacher has certain students in the teacher's class, or if the teacher is willing to help these people, then the teacher must do a little bit of deep dive studying,
True.
educate
True.
yourself, and so that you can help all these people.
Also, these guys need to identify the right courses for themselves, because
Absolutely. Or at the end of the day, if the teacher understands, see, this is not my domain, not expertise, openly tell the people, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. You need to go to somebody else,
correct.
somebody who has the experience.
My heart cringes when I see yoga teachers, people with disc herniation or
Something,
back
something,
problems.
even with hypermobility,
Same thing.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hypermobility is
I have been a
something that,
culprit of
yeah,
hypermobility,
exactly. So,
Aakaash.
so many you have, and you've learned the hard way. And there are so
Yeah.
many people still
Yeah.
suffering with hypermobility, especially women.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, they don't even know they're hypermobile, and in that hypermobile condition, they go to a yoga class. The teacher doesn't understand hypermobility. The teacher doesn't know how to help them, and they definitely, if they're hypermobile and they do a normal regular yoga practice, they will feel worse.
So basically, one should, to sort of understand it correctly, I think if I'm going and looking for a good yoga teacher or a strength training coach or so, I should look at what their qualifications are, how much do they know about the subject,
Absolutely. So now
and where are
it's
they
now it's a
trained.
big rush to get your yoga, you get a certifications ASAP. 200 hours, 300 hours, 500
Yeah.
hours. Okay, let me do 500 hours, but how fast can I get it? Am I going to get it in 1 month? Am I going to get a certification in 2 months, 3 months? Oh, so this one is giving me 500 hours in 1 month. This one is giving me 500 hours in 3 months. Let me get the 1 month. So it becomes
Yeah.
even more cramped. So this is
True.
what's happening. The
True.
the content of the course is getting more and more smaller and smaller and smaller. So how can you do justice to so many topics?
True.
If you want to cover 500 hours in 1 month versus 500 hours in 6 months or 3 months, then everything is very, very quick, very fast.
So this is about yoga that we know of, right? Even is it the same thing for strength training
Absolutely, you
also?
have you have certification, personal training certification programs for 3 months, for 2 months, for 1 month. I always say longer the better, because so there are some courses which I recommend, which I suggest a lot of personal trainers, a lot of yoga teachers to do. There are certain courses which go on for 8 months and 9 months, 6 months, and they go deep into anatomy, deep into human physiology, into exercise biomechanics. Uh, they do a fantastic job in teaching you the basics. Okay, so that is your first challenge, is picking a course that covers all these components, all these factors, the way that nobody does it, the way that it should be done. And it doesn't matter if, and so these courses, so let's say if a course is a personal training course in exercise science, and 6 months or 8 months long, I don't see why a yoga teacher should not do that course. In fact, when yoga teachers come to me and they ask me for so many, in the past, they ask me if there's something that we want to study, want to go deeper into our knowledge, more certifications, something that we want to study more, what course would you recommend? And I will directly tell them, do this course, because I know deep down,
Yeah.
no yoga teacher has spent 6 months studying anatomy or 5 months studying anatomy.
True.
So this is it. Let them do this course, and and then they can take it from there, because if they do this course, they will understand so much, and then apply it into their teaching, apply it into their practice.
It
Which
will.
brings to my, which is maybe it's a great way to say this, but Preeti, if you're seeing this, congratulations to Preeti, because
Yes.
Preeti is one of the yoga teachers I spoke
Yeah.
with, and we had long discussions, and she finally agreed, and now she's so happy when she did
True.
the 6 months or the 7 months course, personal training course.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And hats off to Preeti, and she got a distinction grade in exams. So it's a lot of work for somebody who has no experience in exercise science or in strength training
Yeah. Yeah.
to come do this from scratch. When I did the course, it was easy, not easy for me, but I was very well aware of the concepts. Exercise science was in me right since college. The names of the muscles, muscle groups, I knew them in my sleep. So a lot of things were already there in my head. Okay, a lot of basic concepts were already there in my head. I was giving workshops on strength training, which was already there. So for me, with all that, doing the course is different versus somebody coming from zero exercise background, only a yoga background, and yoga teachers don't know much about all this, and then scoring distinction in the exam is amazing.
It's amazing.
So
Yeah.
Preeti, double congratulations to you again. Great. Yeah. So I would encourage everybody to do that.
True. Okay.
Another thing is so
Yeah.
finding the right certification is great. Okay. But another problem that I see with a lot of people who do certifications is they think that is the ultimate goal.
Don't stop at it.
Yeah. So they think, okay, they've done the certification. It could be any. It could be a personal training certification. Could be a yoga 500-hour certification. They think they've done this, and we know everything.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now we are the masters. Okay. So don't teach us. Don't tell us anything because we know everything.
True.
Okay. So that's another mistake I see with a lot of people who do certifications. Learning never ends. It's a lifelong process. In fact, we learn every single day of our life. And as you know, some of the best yoga teachers in the world are not even certified. Right? It's all through the experience. So somebody who has 20, 30, 40 years of experience is definitely, I would say, is, so a lot of people say that you need to get certified. You need to have some certification. You need to do some courses. How are you going to get the knowledge and everything, which is great. I mean, it's good to have a certification. It's good to get started. It's good to get the foundation. But then it's your responsibility to build on that foundation.
I've always
get that experience.
Yeah, I've always said this in the 200 hours teachers training program that many we have connected together or individually. Please don't stop at this. This is your stepping stone.
This is where your journey starts.
Yeah.
It doesn't end. Yeah. A lot of people think that, okay, this is the end. We're done with it. You're not done with it. This is where it starts.
True.
Which is why, for those of you who don't know, on SutraLETICSS has another vertical, which is the education vertical that we have. And we have also started a yoga TTC teachers training program on SutraLETICSS, which is probably one of the only ones that covers everything about exercise science, human anatomy, biomechanics, human physiology, which other yoga courses don't do. And Sarika is one of the main persons who does this, organizes this on SutraLETICSS for us. So together we make sure that we include all the components that is required for a successful yoga teacher.
It's a must.
So we have lectures from physiotherapists, we have lectures from people who specialize in exercise science, we have lectures from people coming in from Ayurveda. Ayurveda is another important topic which yoga TTCs do not cover. And even if they do cover, they don't go so much in detail.
Yeah.
But we make sure we have a couple of lectures in Ayurveda because every yoga teacher must understand the basic concepts of Ayurveda because they're sister sciences and they go hand in hand.
True. Absolutely.
So it's about having a more complete education, becoming a more complete yoga teacher.
True. Coming back to yoga, okay. So I've had this curiosity to know is, I've seen many people who don't do strength training, but they're still able to do certain advanced asanas. Okay, like women lack in strength. I mean, that's how the physiology is. There's something wrong in
So women generally lack upper body strength.
But
you'll be surprised, not lower body.
Yeah.
In fact, even in the gym, if you see their lower body strength and the man's lower body strength, if they train, can be almost on the same level. But to catch up with the man's upper body strength, they need to work really hard.
Right.
Really hard.
So there are these asanas which involve good amount of strength in your arms also. And I've seen these women, they don't do strength training. They don't even lift as much as 10 kilos. All right.
Yeah.
How does that body manage? So what is it?
So if you break that up into two things. So one is body adapts. Yoga practitioners practicing for years and years and years, they do. If they start with advanced postures and they practice on it day in, day out, daily, they get stronger. It's same progressive principle, progressive overload principle. Even push-ups in the beginning are very challenging for women. Most women can't do push-ups. But you'll see in a lot of yoga classes doing a Chaturanga Dandasana. A lot of women can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's because after years and years of practice. And years of practice. Okay, but here's my question to them. If the same people also would start strength training along with their yoga practice, guess what would happen?
Okay,
two things. The amount of time that they spend in getting stronger only via yoga can probably become half, because the
True.
strength that they get in strength training will help them in their advanced yoga postures, all their arm balances and
Absolutely.
all.
Both will
Okay,
complement each
and
other.
secondly, even moving forward in their future practice, going long term, moving forward later on, if they want to maybe get into more deeper, more advanced practices, which may require more strength in the upper body, strength training is there.
True.
So they will definitely see the benefit in that. So I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
say that a lot of people who practice yoga, they feel like yoga is a complete system, and in a way it is, in certain ways it is, and they feel that they don't need to do anything else other than yoga. But my question always is, why not? If there is something that can improve your health, improve your wellness, improve your joint health, improve, also, I mean, that's another topic, but you do know that tight muscles sometimes don't really need stretching, they need strength. They need more
Yeah.
stability. Okay, sometimes hamstrings, if somebody who has an anterior pelvic tilt and their hamstrings are already lengthened, and if you're going to lengthen them even more, okay, that's not really a great way to do it. In
No
fact, you want to
stability.
strengthen them. So sometimes, same thing for hip flexors. A lot of people think that hip flexors should be stretched and stretched and stretched, but nobody talks about strengthening your hip flexors. So sometimes strength it becomes very important even in yoga practice, because it helps with keeping your joints healthy. If you only look at stretching and flexibility, you are going towards hypermobility, which is not what we want. So you need stability to balance. Strength training will give you that stability, will always help with hypermobility. So I always say that for me, if a student comes to me with only yoga practice, and that student is extremely flexible, looks very beautiful, maybe not hypermobile, but maybe can get there. Okay, so I will always in the back of my mind will be a little scared in giving certain postures to that student, if that student is so flexible, so hypermobile, because that student probably doesn't have the stability. uh, but I can see that, I can tell somebody who, as yoga teachers, experienced yoga teachers, we all can tell if somebody has a flexibility or stability, or if there is a balance between both. Generally, people who, women especially, don't have the stability, they may have the flexibility. That becomes a problem for teachers, because then the teacher has to kind of be a little cautious in guiding and in instructing that student, because then no stability and too much flexibility is not a great place to be. But let's say if a student comes to me who's also practicing yoga and also the strength training, then I know the stability, the strength is taken care of strength training, and I will be a little more relaxed in my mind, little more comfortable when it comes to stability, because I know that student already has the stability from strength training.
Got it.
So you can probably even push yourself more, versus somebody who does no strength training and is only doing flexibility, mobility all the time. So there is a very thin line.
Do you want to expound a little bit on stability for people to understand what are we talking about stability?
Okay,
I mean,
so
because
stability
people
is
understand mobility, people understand strength, and we've broken down strength training in so many ways. Stability, if you want to just
okay.
touch
A perfect
upon.
example. Let's look at a shoulder joint. So great way to understand mobility is when we look at our glenohumeral joint, which is the shoulder joint. Okay, shoulder joint is the most mobile joint of the body. Now, there's certain joints, certain parts of the body that requires more stability and more mobility depending on the joint. The way the joint is designed, the way the joint is created, the way the joint is made. The shoulder joint, if you look at the anatomy of the shoulder joint, is actually, if you look at a golf ball,
Yeah, it's a ball
okay, the
and
small golf ball, and is supported on a very small tee.
cavity or
Uh,
so.
it's called in golf. It's called the tee, I think. You know, the thing that you put on the
The
ground,
golf ball.
golf
Okay,
ball.
okay.
So
Yeah,
you put
yeah.
the golf ball on a tee before you hit the
Hit.
ball. Okay, so that tee is very small. So that entire small thing is actually supporting the entire golf ball. So that's exactly how the shoulder joint is. The part of the shoulder joint that is actually supported is very small. It's a very small
Correct.
capsule that supports the glenohumeral, the shoulder joint,
Yeah.
which is why the shoulder joint is very mobile. Okay, it is the only joint that can go and do so many different movements. You know, flexion, extension, so many different
So
things,
many.
adduction,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
different things. Uh, Now, the more mobile the joint is, the more stability it needs. Okay, uh, vice versa also. The more stable the joint is, the more mobility it needs. Another perfect example would be your thoracic spine. Okay, thoracic spine is extremely stable. So the problems that come with your thoracic spine are problems relating to mobility, because the thoracic spine is not mobile enough. By design, it's not supposed to be mobile, but it can get absolutely stiff. Okay, so it lacks mobility. So if you see in yoga, almost, if not all, but most of the postures, most of the asanas in yoga facilitate thoracic mobility. Okay, why? Because that is so important in certain area. Now, keeping that principle in mind, if you're coming back to the shoulder, okay, if your shoulder joint already is so mobile, another thing you need to understand is your joint health is subject to the muscles surrounding it. Okay, so if the muscles surrounding the joint are strong and healthy, the joint is strong, the joint is healthy. When you talk about, say, let's talk about the knee joint, and people say, I am having knee issues and my knee is very weak. Okay, that basically what it means is that the muscles around the knee joint have degenerated. Okay, the muscles have become very weak. Hence, that impact is on your knee joint. Now, if you want to make the knee joint stronger, you have to strengthen the muscles around the knee. Similarly, the shoulder joint is extremely mobile. If you want to strengthen the shoulder joint and you want to ensure that you don't have any shoulder issues, you have to strengthen the muscles around the shoulder joint. It's called the shoulder complex has got many muscles. You have your rotator cuff, you have very small rotator cuff, very small muscles. Then you have little bigger muscles also around the shoulder. So if you strengthen all those muscles around the shoulder, your shoulder will be in a much better space. Okay, so that is stability and mobility. Stability is basically giving the joint stability, giving the joint strength, giving the joint, the body works in balance, and there should always be a balance in between mobility and stability. Just like you have a muscle, okay, you can lengthen the muscle, you can contract a muscle. You have a bicep muscle over here. Okay, if I do this, I am contracting my muscle. If I do this, I am lengthening my bicep muscle. Okay, so they should be, both movements should be possible. What if I were only able to do one of the other? Okay, that's where the problem comes. There should be a balance between the two, right? For people, even for a lot of men who train in the gym and who don't really work too much on mobility and flexibility. Okay, and many times when you do very heavy bicep curls or very heavy bicep training, they are unable to lengthen the bicep muscle completely, because the bicep is stuck in that contracted position.
That's why their arms are always.
So if you tell them to stretch their arms out, it's very painful for them, because the body, the muscle has adapted to being in that contracted position. So you're unable to lengthen the muscle, right? Which is why for them, if you do this, the stretch, the wall stretch, where you're lengthening, you're facilitating lengthening the bicep muscles, it's very painful for them.
Wow.
So similarly, the body adapts. Whatever you throw at the body, whatever you give to the body will adapt. Good or bad, the body it's not going to decide. That you have to decide. But if you throw a bad activity to the body will adapt. Any exercise done wrongly with proper form and technique, the body will adapt. Okay, so that's how the body is. So that's where stability comes in, which is why stability is so much important. Strength training gives stability to the body. Okay, certain joints, certain areas, you need a lot of stability in the body.
And also, of course, if you have stability, then you will eventually develop some mobility.
Similarly, your lumbar, your lower back, okay, is very mobile. Very mobile. Now, because it's very mobile, a lot of people who have back problems, okay, sometimes your lower back, of course, there is a lot of tightness, stiffness also, but a lot of people, they could have a very mobile lower back also. And there is no stability. That means the back is very weak. The muscles surrounding the lower back, your core, the lower back, all those muscles have become very weak. So there is a lot of flexibility, mobility in your lower back, but no stability. So you need to strengthen. It's like two sides of a coin. Okay, you always want to focus on the one that you need more. And on paper, if you see that all of us have a certain weakness in one of the two. Some of us may need more mobility, some of us may need more stability.
More stability.
And that ratio will change based on the part of the body or the muscle. Some of us may need more on a shoulder joint, some of us may need more stability. On a thoracic, some of us may need more mobility. Okay, depending on, because the human body is very, very it's very personal. I mean, in the sense, there is no one body the same way. The same way it functions. Everyone's body is very unique, very different. Yours is different to hers is different to mine.
Absolutely.
Our requirements are very different. Our activities are very different. Our adaptations are very different.
Right.
So hence, even our physical activity needs to be customized to the way we need. Yes. So when I talked about a structure for programming for training, you know, those movements we talked about, one squat, one deadlift, those are basic movements. Works for everybody. But if you want to tweak it based on what we need, then we need to look at it from that perspective also. You know, maybe add certain exercises, add certain corrective exercises, add certain add-ons that we need more of.
Right.
Yeah. But the foundation movements stay same for everyone. Yeah. So
That
that's where
was
stability comes in.
Wonderful. So much of knowledge. So we can go on, and more than I think Aakaash can go on and on and on about.
Yeah, I have a problem when they put a gun on me and tell me, okay, now do a talk in 60 minutes, and I'm like, then I have a problem, big problem, because then I have so much to cover in 60 minutes.
Yeah. So also we have to meet again. We have to do one more session on nutrition and basic supplementation
Sure.
and all of that, because that is also essential.
I think more than exercise, that's something people are even more confused
about.
So much confusion about.
Yeah.
And in fact, even willing to kill each other in in the name of food. Yeah, trust me.
True.
So
we're going to meet again soon, and we will be coming out with that segment also, and you have to watch it, because as he is, I think Pandora's box, like one thing comes out of,
no, it's all
one or the other thing keeps coming out. Same thing for nutrition also and supplementation also. So thank you so much, Aakaash, for a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to do this together, both of us together, helping people, helping them improve their health, fitness, their lifestyle. That's exactly, and we both resonate with that.
Yeah,
so anything that to help you with getting this ahead, to help more people, I'm always there for you. Anytime. Thank you so much for inviting.
Thank you for coming, Aakaash. And yes, please remember to like and subscribe our channel, and also let us know which other topics you would be interested to know more about, so that we can invite those guests for you. Thank you.